I think I was quite busy last week, so I've not really had my eye on anything particularly.
Yeah,
I caught this early on in the week, so I
I'll
think it was,
sound.
yeah, Monday morning this here. So I'll talk through this for a minute, and then I'll flick through some charts and see where everything's at. 'Cause
Mega.
yeah, so obviously at the minute we can kind of see it's at least pulling back this on GU. So higher time frame wise, I'm saying we are still bullish because we are making on the red structure here. Obviously, we're making higher lows, high highs. We've pulled back, made a new high here, and then we've pulled back, and we're in the sort of air. It's hitting the areas now where we will find out whether it's going to go make a new high again. I think it's coming up to this level up here at the one
Yellow line.
four one. Yeah, one. There's a good imbalance in that point of interest still left. I'll show you in a minute, mate. Like I think it's coming up here before it fully reverses. So if we, I'll come on to the weekly so you can see why I would think it's maybe going to reverse from high up there. So if I'll just dull down this red line so it don't take up the majority of the screen. If we look at this purple structure, you can kind of see that we're in the top part of this leg, which is
Mm.
bearish. So the this is my weekly or daily structure, whatever you name it. It don't really matter. It's a higher time frame structure, and because we're so high in this, and I think this yellow line that I just spoke about's a real nice looking imbalance, and it's probably one of the highest ones in this whole zone that's worth looking at, and possibly will get filled before it turns around. So. Weekly, I'll call it weekly for the purple structure. Bearish still, but pulled back. Obviously, the 4 hour is bullish still. Um, if it takes this low here, I'll go back on the 4 hour. I need to get rid of some of these boxes because we're a bit of a mess. So let me just turn that, and then highlight that one more again. So uh, as we currently stand, we have 4 hours bullish. Yeah, weekly bearish, but 4 hours bullish. But so until this low, I want to change that color, change its thickness. Till that black line there, the low or that high gets taken. That's kind of the two main areas that we're currently looking at. That's a current range, sorry.
Yeah.
So we've come very deep into this 4 hour bullish structure, and then like we're starting to get some sort of signs of bullish lower time frame stuff. So 4 hours bullish. We I think we're still 15-minute bearish. So as we look down here, depending on so I'm trying, my mouse is moving a bit fast. It's throwing the screen faster than I normally move it. Um, so if we look into this, there's kind of a couple of things going on here, and I haven't fully decided which one I like best. But we've either got we've got bearish price action with this part here, then we turn bullish, we get a couple of swings, and then we've turned possibly bearish again. So obviously this side's the bullish part, so we started making high highs, high lows, and now we've turned for the last month or so, we've had a couple of bearish swings. Or it's just a case of from that high that's the 4 hour up here, this is the a pullback sorry,
So,
the
right.
15-minute leg, then to here, and then we've made a new low below this low. So that's either two swings or several swings, both in different directions.
Directions.
But either way, we're still technically bearish. Whether it's the big one or the small one, I would still say we're 15-minute bearish. I just can't put my finger on it which one I'm the most happy with. But what we have kind of seen is, like I said, we're very deep into this 4 hour leg. So this orange zone's the bottom 15, 20, 25% of that whole leg. We tapped into it earlier on in the year. We've tapped into it again. And if we just focus in on this little sort of section there, this sort of area here. So obviously this is what I've got as my current 15-minute high if it's not the overall high. So this is the one I'm kind of waiting to be broken to give me a really good sign that we are then possibly going to come up to this yellow line there. That's a guess, by the way. There's no other indication. I think it's going there, but if we zoom in on the time frames as well on that circled area, right? So we've filled the yellow line here, which will be imbalance because yellow's my imbalance is at the point that they are filled. So the imbalance will be from that point slightly above as price coming down to it. Obviously, the one at the top, the imbalance will start lower and the line is where it's finished because I'm only looking at imbalances being filled. But on the way down to this imbalance here, so if we imagine that price was here, if we was watching this live here, we could sort of see we've got a price coming down. It makes a low, it pulls back. So it's making a lower time frame sort of structure on its way down, something like that. And obviously it comes and taps into that, fills that yellow line, something like that. I'll turn that green because it will be lower time frame. So if you was watching this at this sort of price level and it filled that imbalance, it's low in the 4 hour leg, like I've mentioned a couple of times. You'd kind of say if it breaks this high, this is your lower time frame, so my one.
Yeah.
You're waiting for that to be broken to then tell you that we are at least. So when the 1 minute or lower time frame, sorry, that little fucking matty thing blowing my face. Yeah, this is our first sign that we are possibly at least going to start a new 15-minute, at least come up into like this top sort of area of this 15-minute leg. So the 1 minute will change first, and then it will test the 15 high or close to, or fill an imbalance and reverse or whatever. But it's it's like mitigating the 15-minute leg once the 1 minute shows its hand kind of thing. And I think that's what we're kind of doing now. So I'll just play them and drink my coffee while it plays out. So obviously it puts the low in there. If you was watching it at this point, like I say, I'd say draw a line on that high there, set an alert on it, and
Play out like.
yeah, after it sort of takes that high, I would say you'd be looking for a buy, which I'm guessing this drawing is here. I am getting to this trade as well, by the way, the one that I took on Monday. It's
Yes.
just, but this is kind of building up the whole picture of why kind of thing. So a late there would have gone off. Yeah. So at that point, I would be saying, yes, there's an imbalance, an entry somewhere in all of this price action here. I'm guessing it's this one here that I've got marked. I can't remember what's going on. So there you go. Taps it perfectly there. So that's that there that it's tapped into. Let me just pause that and zoom in a touch. As you see, that taps in beautifully.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me just show you that entry zone as well, because I can't remember it myself now. So
So would you have been looking for an entry there if you would have spotted that on that of this zone here?
yes, mate. Yeah.
Yeah,
So if I'll just come back onto the 15 and show you. So if you, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not fully sure how long you've been watching my stuff, mate. But all my stuff's like color coordinated because
yeah,
it tells me a story that I know. So, but basically, if we, sorry, let me come out to the 4 hour. So, if I draw a red box, it's just a point of interest, a POI. It don't really have much more meaning than that, other than there'll be some imbalance sat above it if it's a buy point of interest. It means that it should have taken a major high. So this anything below all this, like all this price action down here, is something I would look for price to come and tap into. Because this is possibly the cause of this high here being taken. It's
yeah,
probably taken liquidity as well somewhere. It's But in theory, if we did, if I could mark this point of interest all the way down to this low here, because
Yeah.
something in all that area is possibly the cause of the high being taken. So, but obviously I've narrowed it down. Once you start dropping time frames and things, you can start to obviously on like the 5 or 10, 15 minutes or something. This will be a big green candle here. So there's a big push away. The wick lows below other candles, so it'll look completely different on a lower time frame. But it's just an area, And then as we can see here, further to the right, so closer to current price, what I'm looking for is the me red one is point of interest that's taken a 4 hour high. What I'm looking for price to do is come back to it because I mean, I wouldn't look at this, I wouldn't mark this up straight away because I'm kind of trying to catch the bigger moves. Now, you could take moves from around closer to it, but once it's gone away, take it for taking the high. Like I wouldn't have marked this zone here until sort of like this date here at least.
Yes.
Yeah. So and then obviously 4 hour makes a new high. Yeah. And then pulls back. What I'm looking for then is I'm then waiting for the 15-minute to show its 15 minute. I'm going to map the 15-minute structure as it taps into the point of interest, and then I'm just hoping it's going to take the 15-minute high, whether it's that one or that one. Takes all of them because it then retakes the 4 hour high. So once it's then done that, because at this point, this let's say it's this one or that one there. At this so around here, that's told me that it's 4 hour bullish because obviously this is what this box is about. It's then been tapped and tested. It didn't fail. It's then shown further confirmations of low medium time frames realigning as bullish because obviously from this high we get a lower high. We're 15-minute bearish in this section here. I'll just draw that. So from there, all that section in that blue circle I've just made is bearish, 15-minute bearish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Taps the zone, and then from there, and as I said, like this here, once the 1 minute changes bullish here, it kind of tends to go and test the 15. It does the same here. It's testing the 15. The 15 high failed, so then it takes it. Because it's taken it, it's got to come. It's generally comes back again to the reason. So, like I said, that one should be bigger. This one's about the right size. It should be. Prices come back. 4 hours bullish, 15 minutes bullish because that's what created this zone. And then now I was kind of waiting for just price to come back, give me a 1 minute break in the direction. And then we've got the 4 hour, the 15, and the 1 minute all telling us we're going up kind of thing, you know? So, I mean, that's kind of difficult to maybe understand for someone who's like fairly new. Obviously, I know you're not that new, I don't think, are you? All right.
No, I've played about 6 months, I think, 7 months.
Mm.
If that, if that, I
Well,
think
yeah,
next 4 or 5 months, yeah.
yeah. Well, that is fairly new to be fair,
Yeah.
mate, in the scheme of it, especially this because this is like the most difficult sort of thing you'll learn, especially structure. Structure's really, really difficult. It's like the rules for it are quite simple, and I've got 4 or 5 rules for it all, which are in the supply
Got
chat
that pinned in that chart.
in there, mate. So obviously, I always recommend read them multiple times. Like, so if you, I'll get into that in a minute as well. But like, sort of generally, what I kind of believe is every time we get a break of structure, like price has got to come back to mitigate something. So I think this is why we see these kind of moves and structures. So obviously, we've got every time this one hit something in this took that high, caused that high to be taken. Price comes back, doesn't take the low, mitigates something. It then breaks the 15. It then comes back, mitigates something, then breaks the one. And that's kind of how I see it too. It's kind of the latest early entry into the biggest move in my opinion. So what I mean by that is if you could get in at this point here, but the 15 minutes bearish, yeah.
Yeah,
So I would say
carry
that's
on.
dangerous because the even if you cut it, it could plow through. It might not. You might get the reaction. You might catch this. I mean, that would still be a major move, but like you kind of because I try and work down through the time frames. I've had multiple like the medium and the high time frame telling me here that it's bullish. Just waiting for the smallest time frame to tell me it's 10 bullish, and then I I'm kind of anticipating a new high, because it's not taking the low. So the four
Yeah,
hours, like all this from here is kind of telling me that it's all a signal to. I mean, because I've looked at this for years and tracked it or whatever. This here is a signal that it really doesn't want to take these lows, you know, and it
yeah.
wants to maybe go and make a new 4 hour high. So that move from there. Now, obviously, I missed it. I can't remember. I don't know why or what, but I missed it. It is what it is, kind of
The
thing.
way it is, yeah.
Um, but I'll get back to looking at that entry as well in a minute, mate. But if I mean, I'm assuming I'd have been, say, a 3 pip stop loss. That should be more than enough. Now, I'm not saying I would have held this or if it's or what, but if that gets anywhere near that imbalance, what I think it's going to target. So it's showing you possibilities. Like it's a 270 hour trade,
It's,
Now, like I say, I'm not saying I would hold that by any stretch of the means because it would be too big of a risk, I think, for me to want to leave that much on the table. But what I at least think it's going to do is now if the 15 minutes stays bearish, because I said the 1 minute's going to kind of tells us that it's going to test the 15-minute structure when the 1 minute goes first. So did I just delete the wrong thing? No, just delete that a sec. So what I think it's going to do at least once the 1 minute goes is, sorry, it's going to test the 15. So I'll just highlight the 15 again to be brighter. So if we stay bearish on the 15, like I said, I don't know what it's going to do, but
yeah,
you would say it's at least going to sort of like pull back into. So I think this is the high here. It might be this overall one that we spoke about that I mentioned as well, but let's just say it's this one here. It's at least going to pull into somewhere you would say in that kind of area. Possibly, there's a good chance. So if it's going to go into there and then maybe continue bearish because it's still showing bearish at the minute. So we could just say that price is going to do something like that, and then it might come lower into this zone and then give another 1 minute break and then start its overall move, or it's just going to break through. So there's a possibility. So the point of that is like I wouldn't really. I'd be dubious about holding it past all this sort of area. Like there's liquidity these aren't the best, most accurate trend lines, but there is stuff there, and there's possibly stuff elsewhere that I haven't spotted yet. But if there is liquidity, obviously that's another signal that of where price might want
yeah,
want
it's
to
a
go
target.
because it's the target. Because the market's just trying to. It's always just trying to fill imbalance or take liquidity. So. Now we're on the 4 hour, so there could be something in all of this that I can't see at the minute, but
That's the most fidgety thing I find at the minute, finding the
yeah,
liquidity on the screen.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. It's not easy, mate. It takes a lot of eye and practice to kind of be able to spot it off the bat, kind of thing. Now I don't use it loads myself, to be honest. I don't purely because it's like you say, it's difficult to find. And obviously with me anyway, I like it to be pretty much perfectly pinpoint accurate, and it's so there's not loads of it about anyway. So, but it's not I don't think it's I don't think it's that important. It is important because, like I
Yeah,
say, it can tell you where it's kind of going to go, or you know, but I can trade without it. It just kind of helps sometimes if you do spot it. But like I said, I don't like to spend loads of time looking and adjusting my trend lines. Like obviously, you can see I've got them marked, so
yeah.
I do spot them. But
Not your main mission, like.
yeah, it's not my main mission. The structure tells me the direction, so. Like I said, that high there being taken as the what was my 1 minute, that would have been enough to tell me to get in. And now if I'd have picked that entry off the cuff and like save and it does tap into it perfectly, then great. But structure told me like there's no like liquidity that I spotted in this area. It was that high, this high here got taken. Uh yeah, as soon as that candle there got taken here, that was my signal, and then obviously there'll be an imbalance in all of this that look really nice. So you can do it without liquidity. It's just it gives you a bit of an eye on the area sometimes. So let me go look at that entry as well because I obviously marked it for a reason. Now, but one of the possible reasons is that obviously so that's the high there. Sorry, if we obviously this is the high. This you could argue like this we're in on the 5 minute here, so you could argue that this order block here leads to this whole push, which takes it. So this area would have always been a good area to look for that like entry with the imbalance in it kind of thing. So this is going to be a 1 second type of thing. I bet it's this candle here. So this is obviously something happens in this area as well. So we get a big push down. Now we're on the 5 second, so this is lots of pips in not very much time. 6 pips in a minute, not the best, not the worst, but yeah, it looks crap on the one. But it's a good example anyway. If you look at this here, we get a huge down push. This is 1 second, you know, to move the market in that amount of
What?
time is not 1.5 pips. And then what? Now this is just a gap here, so this could. It's kind of hard to interpret gaps. But I don't know if you've ever watched the candles play out on the 1 second, but what?
No,
Yeah, I mean,
it's
I don't advise it.
that
It's kind of boring.
looking Rayman, but end of it.
But
Nah, it's
do you know?
slippery.
Do you know? Uh, even if you look at the charts on any time frame, as while the charts are live, so down this side here, there'll be a timer next to where the price level is. And what happens is so if you go on, like, say, the 1 minute and just watch it, and then obviously it'll count down from like 59 seconds, get to one, go to naught, and then it'll start again at 1 minute once the next candle's
Mm.
moved across. Now, on the 1 second, because it happens so quick, there's so where this candle closes, I'm going to draw a couple of arrows. That candle there closes at obviously the top of the body. Yeah. And what we can do between this candle closing and then this one opening. Now this is meant to be instant, yeah.
Yeah,
So what we can start to maybe think about is that's moved well over a pip in yeah, just over a pip in less than a second because that closes and then it opens here and now it's not instant because obviously but it's less than a second, if that makes sense. So something's happened from price to jump from there to there quicker than TradingView can go close open, do you know?
yeah,
So this is possibly should be imbalance. It's just we can't see it because it happened so quick. Obviously, we don't get perfect data, and we view them in candles. It would look different maybe on something else. I don't know, but like just by maybe trying to think about it a little bit as like say, is that one closed and then it opens well up here.
Still a good indication, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, it would I pretty much look like this candle, but here, if do you know if it updated faster and we could maybe say
Yeah.
get half a second candles or whatever, do you know it would look like that. So I would say we can be smart enough to go that's probably imbalance, which means that here this this
The
candle
order
here,
block, yeah.
this yeah is the order block, and then obviously I would say you would cover a little bit below as well because that's going to be what a pipette or two, yeah, four pipettes. It's a bit tight for an entry, even by my standards. So, you know, so yeah, but like spotting that live would have been very difficult as well. So whether I'd have caught it or not live, I don't know. Probably not. But the process is that what we've just sort of covered, and the alert was that high being taken. Yeah. And like I said, I do think we are possibly going to take well up there anyway.
So,
So, right, let me just get closer to this entry that I took on Monday. So I'm anticipating higher prices. That was the gist of that kind of pre-talk to this trade. So I'd also spotted what I thought was some liquidity as well. So we've got a touch there, touch there, touch there. So three touches. We've got, obviously, I've extended it. It's now been taken. And I think there was something else. I thought there was another trend line that I spotted as well. I think it was this one here. So I'll turn these two red so you can differentiate the ones. So what I was thinking as I was in the trade kind of thing. So I'm just going to zoom in on the 5 minutes because I want to get to the stuff before the trade. Dun, 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 dun. So I've even got the structures drawn out for because I was posting this in the gas strategy section or something. So as we can see, we've got a lower time frame kind of structure, bullish structure forming here. So we've got a low, high, pullback, high. We was pulling back kind of thing. We was in the vicinity of over a 50% pullback. So if I draw from that high to that low, but drag it across over here,
hmm.
we it passes the 50% mark pretty much straight away, really. So we're over 50% pullback. I would say we should always at least aim for a minimum of 50% pullback for it to be classed as a pullback. But we can all now I would kind of use both. I'd want it to at least pull below this high because the principle is because it's coming back to mitigate something. So if we reverse that thought process that it's got to come back to mitigate the order that causes the high to be taken, that kind of tells us price has got to pull at least below that level to mitigate the thing that caused that high to be broken. Um, so lower time bullish structure. We then formed some trend line liquidity here. So touch. Now this might be 1 minute because that doesn't look right. It was bang on. It might have changed. What the fuck is going on here? This was perfect the other day. What the fuck is going on? I've had this loads.
Like the
FXCM.
skipped.
Yeah, FXCM changing the feed slightly. This was perfect, but it's moved it slightly. Like it's like it changes the candles afterwards.
Yeah. Once you've marked it up.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have to change feeds from them, I think. But anyway, this was perfect. Anyway, there was perfect free touch. I posted it in the chat, so I'll have to find it and just double check. But anyway, um, I'll come back to the five, sorry. So we pulled back roughly far enough to how what I was happy with anyway. We created what was a perfect trend line at the time. Obviously, if they're messing with their feeds, fuck them kind of thing. But we created trend line liquidity. We've then um we sweep it here, and then because it is so I was looking at this as the point of I was happy with everything to the left, where we was in all this structure, blah blah blah. We created liquidity. So what I would say if we was here or even a couple of candles back, yeah, so there, say like if we've spotted the trend line early enough, um what I would be saying to you from this point is once we take liquidity, we want to be looking for a high to be taken. So we can obviously we can draw the structure on a lower time. Like obviously, this is the overall. This is the low. This is the high that intact at this point. Yeah, this leg here. We start getting like structures, lower time frame structures forming in all this. Now, what another rule I kind of generally like to say is on your trend line. Now, I would advise you to test this if you're going to go and use this as a rule. So I kind of flick between this one and overall structure. But one of the rules is the from the last touch in the so between the middle touch and the last touch, we pull back in price. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a possible high we would want breaking after the liquidity is taken,
Break has been
or
taken.
yeah, or how far it pulls back after the sweep. So if it pulls back to there and then takes liquidity, I'd then go for it'd be that one, depending on which one's the fairest. So could be that one, but if it pulls back deeper, I'd at least want that one taken. Yeah. So obviously,
Yeah.
depending what happens afterwards, I'll play it slow because it's easy to kind of show you. So it's taken there. It only pulls back this far here before it's taken, but I'd be saying a bit like you could, if you wanted to be a bit more on the cautious side, you could definitely go with that one instead, or even this one up here, which I think it does all of it, to be honest. Just no, no, it doesn't. It does this one
Was that
anyway. Yeah, it was that one that I said. So it takes that one. That's the first sort of signal because that's the minimum I would expect it to take before I obviously, like I say, consider getting in. But it's just a lower time frame structure indication. So because pretty much at every reversal point we're going to see obviously if we're bullish and we turn bearish, we're always going to see so like some bearish bullish price action. We're then going to see this, so this low that puts the high in gets taken, and then the price is going to start doing that kind of thing. And then obviously the other way is would take the high and start making the opposite kind of swings. So there's a change of characters, reversal ones at all of these sort of price like these areas. Just depends on the time frame you're on and the structure size that you're on, kind of thing. So there's a change of character there. There's a change of character there. And like I said, that high there is just the first lowest time frame indication after the liquidity's been taken. Um, I'll show you the entry while I'm on here, mate. So it's just about the same. This was the lowest imbalance because this is the overall low of the sweep. Yeah, and as you see, there's a push from here, so just this and down. I'm at the low. You see, it comes and taps it pretty nicely.
yeah.
It's one. What was it? I can't remember what the stop loss size was. 3.5, quite wide for me, but you know, it don't matter. I don't obviously I don't get to decide what the stop loss is. The markets tell me because that's the from the imbalance to the bottom, and then a little bit for to allow for spreads and things. So I'm just gonna fast forward that up. So now that's on its way doing its thing, past TP, went 17, just over 17. Nice and easy, straightforward
Lovely that.
trade. Yeah, beautiful. Well happy. Now I set my TP there just because, right? So now I said earlier, with the 15-minute structure, and I said obviously the 1 minute will tell me it's going to at least test the 15. Now, if it's
Yeah,
going to test the 15, it's going to be somewhere in this orange box. In here, there's a decent imbalance that's obviously I've marked. I've got it purple, so it'll be a BPR as well with an imbalance. So that's the point it's filled. And I thought that's the at that point there where I set my TP, that would mean a new 1 minute high is set from this little structure here. So that the new high has gone in. We it could have filled that and then done a change of character to the downside because that's a good imbalance. It's in the area that we could get a continuation of 15-minute bearish price action. It had taken liquidity, so it swept when I was in the trade. As you can see, it sweeps this trend line. Now, this one's I also posted as well, saying that obviously I think it's going to go for that one there, this one as well. So I could have taken me TP favor, but don't think this trend line was perfect. It was pretty close. Obviously, the two ends are on magnet, but if we look
yeah,
real
in
close
the
in here,
centre.
it's a touch short. So wasn't particularly happy with this trend line by any stretch. So I played it cautious, played it to the safest area that I thought it was pretty much guaranteed to go to. I was as confident as I could be, and then that was about that. I think it's gone a bit higher, but yeah. So if I'd have held on it much more, it would have took me out. And it obviously, as you can see, it's made trendline fair, taking it higher. But obviously, it would have
Yeah,
took
you
my
put
entry
my
out before going again. So it is what it is, kind of thing. So I got out at a real good place. Um, we're still making bullish structures, obviously. I'll change this slightly now. So this was drawn, obviously this green structure here was drawn at sort of around this sort of point here, but I'll put it to there. I would change this slightly now from how prices played out. So we're still bullish on the lower time frame. Um, I'll just show you why. Change it now. So the reason why I'll change it now is because we've had this low here. We put a new high in above this high here. We've taken this low, which means we would have possibly had a change of character. Yeah, there, which means I'd be telling you kind of to look for sells, but I'm just going to change these here a sec before I continue. No extend.
You know, when it puts in a new low like that, but then continues to go high, is it just took liquidity? That is that all that is, or
Yes, yes. So what the one of my rules, one of the rules for structure is what it does next continues the previous, and what I mean by that is so the only the like if I was what I'd stop watching because I'd been busy all week, but if I'd have seen this, but I'd still had this trend line here, so this red one, I'll change it thicker so you can see. So there's a wick high in there, and then two little touches in here. So it's taken the low. Now, normally I'd be saying, yeah, change of character, sells are on. It's filled, obviously, an imbalance or something in that top 25% area that we've spoke about a couple of times. But I would hope the large majority of us would be able to look at that. I mean hope because I don't think too many would, to be honest. But with with liquidity being above, because we know liquidity is going to draw the market to take price beyond it. So we have a change of character here, uh, change of character. So without this liquidity, now I said it, I don't use it that much, but if you spot it, it helps. So if we had a change of character there, and then you come to me and gone, oh, I've tried selling it from here, I'll put that to the top. So if you was trying to sell it from there, and then I would look at it and go, well, there's liquidity here. Like you
I
should
don't
never,
know.
you would never put your stop loss before the liquidity is taken. So spotting the liquidity on this occasion would save you from this change of
Yeah,
character,
yeah,
like tricking you. Yeah.
yeah.
Now, the market is going to always try and trick you. And obviously, what I was trying to say about the actual structure of it all is changed because what it does next confirms the previous. So I had this as a pullback. No, sorry, that was a low. That was a high. That was a low. This was a high. This low gets taken, like we just said. Now I would just draw it from. I'd come from down here to that high there, to
Yeah,
that low there. Yeah. So we just readjust it to
right, yeah,
what happens. So this week or early this week, I'd anticipate pricing going to come somewhere near this area and then maybe continue its bullish trend. Who knows? Like, obviously it'll tell us once it's there kind of thing. But yeah, I'd just redraw it. So
dead.
would have been there. But that's what it does next confirms the previous because what it did. So this swept the low, so that told us I'm trying to word this to make it
I
as
understand what you mean. If that wasn't at the
yeah.
top low as well, yeah,
Yeah. So what it did next was continue to take the high. So that's what it does next, confirms the previous. So that confirming the previous means we just rejig where our points was.
right,
Yeah.
sound.
I think that's about the simplest I can
Yeah,
understand
I
it.
understand that.
Like, yeah, yeah.
I've just
Yeah.
seen it happen quite a bit on gold when I've
Yeah.
been like looking back at gold. It just seems to
Hmm.
sweep and then carry on in the direction
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
were.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I think it's all I think that's the tricky part about obviously structure is it can do it can do this kind of thing and fuck you up and you like confuse you and then you like start second guessing yourself. But obviously we only view like the charts as candles like HSBC or Lloyd's or whoever, your big banks, like they probably don't even look at it as candles. So we're seeing information that's not we're we're taking information from candles that it's not actually how the charts are made kind of thing. So we're just trying to do the best with it how we can, I guess. So there's something going on that we don't necessarily know about, but we're just trying our best. Um, and yeah, so it'll be what it would have done. It would have likely you could argue that maybe it's because it's come lower. There was still some imbalance in this area that this didn't fill, and then
Yeah,
it's had to come back for it. There's maybe liquidity somewhere that I haven't got marked.
not seeing
There's a reason for it, and I'm sure it would have told us that it might still come lower. I don't know, but yeah. But anyway, I got out a good point. I still think we're going higher but we're kind of like I say we are hitting areas where if we do, I mean, if price comes below this week, I will definitely look to sell from somewhere in this area down to in somewhere in all this kind of stuff. So, obviously, I'm pretty good at not all the time. Obviously, I make mistakes like anybody, but I can kind of I can pinpoint in the market where something's going to change from, but it's until it does it and gives me confirmations, like it's just a guess like anyone else would kind of thing.
yeah,
So
you wouldn't use it as such until it's
yeah,
been confirmed.
like
Like,
I say, I'm not this imbalance up here, which I'll show you in a minute. If price did come up to that and reverse off it, like that's hell of a prediction, but that's literally all it is. I don't even know if I'll be able to see the imbalance that far away now. Actually, I can't remember what time it is. But like it might take that, it might come higher than that and then reverse. It's
waiting
purely
to
a
play
guess.
it.
But
Like, yeah,
like say if price hits it and then starts breaking structures to the downside, that's when I'm like, yeah, that's right. So I think people think I'm really good at these predictions, but the market's telling me before it's doing it kind of thing, do you know?
Yeah, you're just reading it.
Yeah, just yeah. Yeah, that's that imbalance there, mate. So
It's down it.
yeah, look at that. 16th of June. I think that might be the Trump presidency announcement or something. Or yeah, Wednesday. Might be major news at 7 on a Wednesday. FOMC maybe.
Big one.
Yeah, it's a big one. So, but yeah, like I said, I think this is possibly a good area that we might see major reversals from. It's only on the 1 minute, but so I can't get lower because it's too far away for me to look on the seconds. But I mean that's a huge move anyway. So, but you never know. I might be way off. It might come from lower, it might go higher. It's just sort
Yeah,
of
quite right.
just preempted me sort of plan a little bit, I guess. So, um, yeah. So that's GU at the minute, mate.
I'll jump on that this week then or tomorrow.
Yeah,
An hour or so in the morning and see what I can map out.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, I mean, obviously I draw all my structures for everybody else to look at anyway. Otherwise I'd not have them because I can spot them, I guess. But we're definitely 15-minute bearish anyway. I'll just draw this other structure on here, mate, so you can, like I say, it's possibly all this. I don't know. Can you see them on your screen?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite faint on mine. That's all. So I'm always concerned that people can't see it. So it's either all these, and we was bullish for this section here, or it's just this. It's one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of them two zigzags there. But both, like, that's even if whether it's one or the other, if we're going to stay bearish on the 15, like, it just means price might pull up a bit higher than this, but we're still sort of hitting the areas where if it is going to stay bearish, we're kind of in them areas where we're going to get a break to the downside and show us, and then take this low NOA, you know. So where if you're keeping an eye on, mate, I think.
Yeah, thank you. Have a blast on that.
All right, mate. I'll call it
Mega
there.
mate.
All
Yeah,
right.
thank you for that, like.
No worries, mate. I'll get this uploaded, mate. So if you want to obviously
Oh, what
watch
was
it back or out, and obviously if there's any questions at all, mate, just chuck them in the chat or give me a message or whatever. All right,
Perfect,
mate.
pal. Appreciate that, mate. Have a good one.
No worries, mate. You too.